Hi everyone, it's Sarah here at Lavinia Stamps, and today I'm going to go through making a magical, mystical mermaid potion bottle. It's a really quick and simple make, but it looks really effective when you're finished. So the first thing you're going to need is a bottle. This is one that I've had in my little stash. I've got a cupboard full of bottles and jars that I think are too good to recycle or throw away. So make sure it has a good tight fitting lid because you want it to be watertight because you're going to tip it around to see the magical potion inside. So this is the bottle I'm going to be using today. And I'm going to start off by making a label. So here, first of all, an old scrap of Dreamscape paper. Double sided, so whichever colour you're going to want to use, try and pick one that's going to kind of complement your colour scheme. This is going to be our label, so I'm going to just use a VersaFine ink pad. You could also use an Elements ink pad, that would work as well. And I'm going to just draw around the shape of the box to give me the label shape. There we go. And because it's a mermaid bottle, I'm going to use one of the lovely stamps. So this is Alana. She's one of the smaller mermaids, but she just fits on there quite nicely. Okay, so Alana for the main figure, and then I'm going to use the sea algae. So first of all, I'm going to pop Alana on. I'm going to use Twilight to colour her with. So popping my stamp flat down, I'm going to just press the ink pad over her. She's quite a detailed stamp, so I want to make sure that she's got plenty of ink on her to pick up all the detail. And this stamp's getting a little bit past its best now. If I've got any bits where I've just kind of over inked the stamp and I've got a bit of excess, I'm going to just wipe that carefully off. And then I'm going to pop her down on the left hand side of the label, about there, and to make sure that all the ink has time to touch the paper and soak in, and gently lift it off, and we should have a lovely image. There we go, very pretty. Put that to one side for cleaning, and then I'm going to just put a little bit of foliage or sea algae foliage around the edges of the picture and near the bottom. So this one is VersaFine Rainforest. It's more of a bluey greeny kind of colour, and again it's quite an intricate stamp, so that can go down there, and then a little bit at the bottom. Let's surround her with weeds. And then another bit just behind her, about there. There we go. So that is literally all the stamping I'm going to do. Just going to make sure that's dried because I don't want to smudge anything. So I'm going to just blot it with my copier paper. And then I'm going to do a bit of colouring in. So for the sea algae, I'm going to use some of my Zig pens. So I've just picked randomly. I've got a teal colour, a lime green colour, a lemony yellow colour, and a dark green colour. So basically I'm just going to randomly colour some of these little pods in, keep it all in a greeny bluey theme. There's usually always one that you miss out, I think, when you do this. When you finish, you'll see one that you've missed. What colour should we go for now? What about this zingy green colour? Let's try that. And then let's give the actual leaf some colour. So when it comes to colouring her in, just choose, I think this is quite a pale yellow colour, but we can maybe drag some of the darker colours through it, blend them in a little bit. Let's try a bit of this and pull this through. And then let's go darker at the back blend some of this green. This is a nice green. It's yellow green. Let's keep these fins a bit lighter and go very light at the front. That one is pale yellow. The green is May green and the tealy one is turquoise green. There we go. And then if we get one of our white gel pens, we can just do a little bit of highlighting on the front of her body. There we go. And I think all mermaids will be a little bit sparkly, so I've got my Wink of Stella pen. I'm just going to go over, this is the clear one, just going to go over the bottom half of her body just to get a little bit of sparkle. True mermaid style. I think maybe she might have a bit of sparkly hair as well. I'd imagine so. There we go. And then I'm going to use my Stardust jelly roll pens just to give the insides of the little pods a bit of sparkle as well. Just randomly. I've got a blue one, I've got a green one, and I've also got a gold one. Get the gold one. Right. Have I missed any? Don't think so. Not on that side. Missed that leaf there. There's always one. Let's go zingy. Zingy green. There we go. Right. Are we happy? I think so. So once I have coloured her in, I might... Do we need some sparkly splatters? Let's go for it. So we've got our Kuretake drop of shimmer silver. So I'm going to give that a quick shake. I'm going to get my little detail paintbrush just so I'm knowing where I'm going with it. And I'm just going to tap that, get that big blob off, tap that gently over the surface and just get a few little splats. Don't want loads of them. That should be good. And then I'll give that a quick blast with the dryer before I go to cut it out. So I've cut our lovely mermaid out and I just feel like it needs a bit of shading around here. It's a little, just around the sides, it's a little bit too bland. So I'm going to get my Elements ink pad mermaid for obvious reasons. And I'm going to go for a number 7 stencil brush. And I don't want to have loads of ink on it. I'm going to just kind of dip it in the ink pad a little bit and then swoosh it around the lid, and then I'm going to just get the most of that off, I think, before I start shading in, because I don't want to put too much colour on there, but I would like to give it a little bit of depth there. So go around the bottom and then just up the sides just a little bit, but it'll make a little bit of a difference. There we go. Just gives it a bit more of a magical, mystical feel. There, that's better. Happy with that? And then before I stick this on, because experience has taught me that sometimes I throw my water everywhere and I'm trying to fill a bottle. So I'm going to use the Distress Glaze. It just gives it a bit of protection from water when you're finished. So I'm going to just pop it on my finger and gently rub it over the surface of the label. And then when that's all covered, you just get a piece of kitchen roll and wipe the excess away. It just means now that if I do drip water on it when I'm filling the bottle, I suppose I could fill the bottle first and then stick it on, but nah, let's live dangerously. You could also run a line of quickie glue pen around the outside and give it some foil. That would look quite cool, but I quite like these little splats. I think that's enough for now. So that's done. And then to stick it on the bottle, literally, I'm just going to use my glue. good old bippity and pop that on. So there we go, just a thin layer. We don't want it squishing out. And then just before you pop that on the bottle, I would say you would need to just spread out the glue. So decide, sometimes you get a line, don't you, with a bottle? That's got the lines there. So I'm going to hold that down. I'm going to glue that down. It's probably helpful to have a piece of clean kitchen roll just to hand, so that you can help smooth the label down a bit lower. And then make sure that we're all stuck down. And then once you're happy that's all stuck, I would just set it to one side just whilst it dries. So there's our finished label. One thing I am going to do is just choose one of these from Sentiment Stickers number 7, and I probably use most of the mermaidy things up, but there are a few here. So we've got Mermaid Song, or I've got Mermaid Giggles. Let's go for Mermaid Giggles. I'm just going to pop that a bit up there. And then I'm just going to go over that with my glittery gold Posca just to outline it. There we go. That can be the name of the potion. To fill this up, I'm going to do it off camera, but you want to fill it almost to the top. The majority of the contents will be water. So I'm just going to do that off camera. So we are near the top. So just so you can see, it literally is to the base of the neck that I've filled it. And then I am going to use the re-inker. So this one is Mermaid Colour, the Elements re-inker, and you literally only need a couple of drops. If you just try two or three drops. So 1, 2, 3. Let that, I mean, it just looks magical going in the water alone. Let that settle, and then maybe pop the lid on, give it a tiny shake, and just see how much colour that's giving you, because I think that probably for me is plenty of colour. So that's 3 drops of it re-inker, whichever colour you choose. And then you're going to want to have a little bit of sparkle. So I have got here one of the micro minerals. This one is Spring Green. And I'm using a coffee stirrer and just going to drop in literally, I don't think you need much of this either really, just a little scoopful. Pop that in, maybe a bit more, and that's going to give the potion that lovely shimmer. And then I'm going to just pop in, so this is the Eco Glitter Star Brights, and it's the Vintage Shimmer. I love the colours in this. So again, just I feel like a bit more bling would be suitable for our mermaid potion. I mean, you can try all sorts in this. It's like being a kid again. See what happens. And if you don't like it, you tip it out and start again. So there, a little bit of that in. So let's give that a shake. Now, if we just did it on its own like that, it would shake through the water, but not be that kind of special really. Looks quite cool though. But if we add the magic ingredient, and this is, I've just poured it out of the bottle, but this is liquid vegetable glycerin. And because it's a different consistency to the water, it won't mix with the water and it will just swirl through it as you move the fluid around. So if you pour that in, and that literally is probably a teaspoon, 2 teaspoons, you don't need very much of it. It just takes a while to pour in. There we go. And then pop your lid back on again. And let's have a look. Now you can already see it's kind of like causing these magical swirls. So give that a shake, let it all go through. And then straight away you can see you're getting that kind of thicker, swirly effect in the potion. And that really is it. I'd say if you were in a household with no children visiting and you're pretty confident that you weren't going to open the bottle and swig it, you could leave it like that. If you have children or grandchildren visiting, then I would say To be on the safe side, you don't want them to suddenly think, oh, look, it's magic potion, I can drink it. I would just finish this off with some foam clay around the neck. So I'll go and grab some foam clay and I'll show you how I do that. So to make the seal for the stopper, I've just got some of the Lavinia foam clay, and I love this stuff, it's so squidgy. So I've got the Bermuda colour just to make it a bit different, and I've got the clay, and just going to pop a few drops of the Bermuda in the clay, and then just give it a good old work through and just give it a bit of colour. I'll just keep adding more ink as needed. Sound effects courtesy of my dog, who's having an absolute mad 5 minutes on the rug behind me. Thank you, Clary. Thank you. So just keep adding the ink as and when you think you need a bit more colour. I think possibly that will be it now. Yep. And then keep working the foam clay just until you've got that even spread of colour throughout the piece of clay. So that's quite a good even colour now. And then if you make a sausage shape, and then what you can do is just take your bottle and you can just stretch this around the lid where the seal is. So start at the front and work your way to the back, and then just gently squash the clay in place, trying to keep it even, like an even ribbon. If you have too much, then just pull a piece off. If you haven't got enough, then you can make some. It takes a while to go off, so you've got a bit of wiggle room to kind of take it off and do it again if you're not happy with how it's looking. There we go. So that's pretty much even. I'm not overlapping the lid too much. And then what I would do, just to make it look a bit more interesting, is probably using the same coffee stirrer as before. You can just make little indentations going around the lid. And then leave that probably 24 hours to dry. So after 24 hours, the cap's nice and firm. It's dried nicely. I've got a little bit of rubbing alcohol on a piece of kitchen roll, and I'm just going to go around the bottle, take any finger marks off it, any bits of glue that have oozed out from around the label, get those off, make it nice and clean. And you can see with just settling how clear the fluid has gone in the bottle. All the sparkles down there at the bottom. And then I get my drop of gold shimmer on a detail paintbrush, and I'm just going to go around the lid just to give a bit of interest on that foam cap. The brush is quite dry, so it's not going to kind of literally cake it, but you just get little hints of gold. So you can see I've not painted it all. I've just basically kind of probably dry brush most of it on. I do want some blue to pop through. There we go. And then the last thing I'm going to do to it is I just think it looks quite effective to pop a bit of yarn around the neck. So I'm going to go and get a colour of yarn. I think possibly a teal colour. And you could always add a few little silver charms or little buttons just to make it look a little bit jazzy. So I'll leave that to dry and I'll go and get myself some yarn. So the gold paint has dried on the foam clay stopper. If you haven't got the drop of gold shimmer, you could try gold Posca pen, metallic gilding polish, anything like that. You could give that a bit of sparkle on the foam cap. This is some of the Lavinia yarn. I think it's called Ocean Seas or something like that. It's beautiful teals and blues. I've had a root around in my button box and I've found some mother of pearl buttons, which I thought was quite fitting for a mermaid. And also I did manage to find a starfish charm. So those have all been tied on. And then that's the finished bottle. Once you give it a good shake and you get all the mica and glitter mixed up, you'll then get these wonderful swirly patterns appearing. And I just think they're absolutely fascinating, really, aren't they? You could watch them for ages. And then you get the occasional bits of glitter and mica going past. Have a look in the sentiments, number 7, the stickers, because there are loads of really cute little sayings in there. There's one there saying frog slime. So I've got my green parrot re-inker ready. There'll be a frog slime bottle coming soon. I think there's unicorn ones, fairy ones, all kinds of like sunrise, golden, lots of different colours in there you could use. So just have a look at the stickers, see which one appeals to you, and then you can have a look at your stamps and see what you can make to go with it. So I look forward to seeing what kind of magical potions you invent. And I hope you have a fun. It's just a fun craft to kind of pass away a few hours. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.